This week on Pop of Culture, fine arts in action.
The thing I love about live music and I love about performing music is that there can be moments that are different than rehearsal.
Two arts organizations in East Central Indiana are working to bring in modern audiences.
And we'll talk to muralists while they paint a bus. Coming up.
Support for Pop of Culture comes from you. You've probably heard that Congress has defunded public media. For Ball State Public Media, that's 40% of our funding, about $1.4 million. So if you value this program, created by and focused on folks in your community, then now's the time to step up. This show will not exist without you. Become a monthly donor now at indianapublicradio.org.
From IPR, this is Pop of Culture. I'm Jen Blackmer.
And I'm Michelle Kinsey. Coming up, if you hear the word opera and tune out, a new organization is looking to change that.
But first, we're going to start with the Maybelle Music Festival. It took place last weekend, and over a dozen female performers took the stage.
But they weren't the only artists present. A team of muralists painted a bus. Yes, a bus. I took a microphone to get up close to the big work of art. I am at the Maybelle Music Fest in Muncie, and if you are at the fest, you can't help but notice a giant bus at Seven Rock Brew, and Ashley Runkle is here with me, and she kind of spearheaded this project to paint the bus with some amazing muralists from all over the country. Ashley, thanks for taking a few minutes to chat with me.
Absolutely.
So tell me how this project came about.
Well, spearheading it is very generous, but some muralists I met last year at a conference and I were talking about getting together this fall, and we were thinking, wouldn't it be cool if there was somewhere we could get together? It'd have to have an international airport so the Canadians can make it, and it would have to have some music, maybe at a brewery with some art, and we started looking at things, and the ideas that came about, none of them really flew out. They just didn't work out with everyone. And then I said, okay, well, my October's really busy, but here's this idea that somebody approached me about painting a bus, and I said, that's too big to do on my own. And so I said, there's this bus at a music festival. It's all females. We're all female. And so they're like, yes, we love it. And so they hopped on board. And then when Bill and Robin donated the Airbnb, and it all fell into place. It worked out perfect.
I love that. So tell me the muralists that you have brought into Muncie to help you with the bus.
Yeah, we've got Lindsay, who came in from Ontario. We have Lauren, who came from New Hampshire, and we have Jen, who came from Texas. And we all met at Rooted last year. And then we've got 5 right now, almost 6 ladies showing up who came from the state of Indiana and around locally.
Wonderful. So when you're trying to decide, I mean, the bus is a big canvas. When you were trying to decide what to do with it, how did you decide among the group the design you were going to use?
Yeah, so Bill and Robin said they gave us a palette they really liked, kind of some muted, neutral colors, and they said they kind of wanted a hippie vibe. And then the bus itself, the canvas really lends to that sort of a aesthetic. And so between Lindsay, Jen, Lauren, and I, we kind of all started playing with ideas, but they all felt very much like 4 different artists were working on it. Yeah. And so when they got here on Thursday and Friday, we had passed designs back and forth for weeks, and it was kind of at a stalemate. And then when they showed up Thursday, we kind of looked at it, and Friday when we all sat down together, and it was we did more in 3 hours with cups of coffee around a table together collectively as artists than we had done in the weeks leading up. And so we're we need to remember this, because next time we just needed a few hours together, and we were able to project it up on a wall and all with our iPads be simultaneously working on it and see the changes in live time. Because it was important that we only have 8 hours. We have to be able to execute it quickly, and that means what is your style that you can do, and you can do it well, and you can do it quickly. But then how do we merge all 4 different styles to look cohesive on one bus? And so it was really cool. The round table was that was my favorite part of this, that getting to work together. That's awesome.
Okay, we are interrupting another muralist as she paints the front of the bus. Can you tell us your name and where you're from?
I'm Lauren Baeta, and I live in Wilton, New Hampshire.
So, Lauren, tell me what attracted you to coming to Muncie to work on this bus with other muralists?
Well, that's the thing. It's the other muralists. We have this little community that we've created, and we wanted to work together. And Ashley had this great connection with the music festival, and this has been such a perfect job for us.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about what we're looking at right now. What are you specifically working on?
So I am painting a sun on the front of the bus. It's got some nice rays that spread out from the center. And on the opposite end of the bus, we plan on having more of a nighttime scene. So it's kind of, the two ends of the sky.
I love that. And I noticed that do you go in with is that pencil first or just how are you planning that as you work?
Well, we did have a design we're working off of, but the markings are there's at least 3 different tools we're using. So you do see pencil.
Yes.
This is a water-soluble watercolor pencil. So the white part, it will wipe off with water.
Yeah.
So we've got graphite, that pencil. There's chalk in places. It's kind of whatever we've got near us that we know is going to work with the design, that we can see the marking, but also paint over it or erase it if needed. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, on the other side of the bus, I guess you could say it would be the driver's side. By the driver's side window, we found another muralist. Can you tell me your name and where are you from?
Hi, I'm Jen Hughes, and I'm from San Antonio, Texas.
Jen, what has been the best part of this project for you?
Working with fellow female muralists, hands down. It's such an isolating job at times. And just to come together with fellow girls who know what they're doing and are wildly creative and just have fun. Yeah. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. How long have you been doing mural work?
Mural work only for about 4 years. I've been an artist for 15 plus. Started out doing graphic design and oil painting, switched to mixed media acrylic work, and had this idea to paint a huge wall in my house with just really bright, beautiful colors, like a very kind of abstract landscape, and decided I want to paint some more walls. So I did. Yeah.
Other people's walls.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what are some of the projects that you've done out in San Antonio?
So lots of just small businesses. I did our largest grocery store chain is H-E-B. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but I did their headquarters, which was cool.
Oh, wow.
The most unique and fun project I just wrapped up, and I painted a life-size cow statue. So it's called the Official Cow Parade. It rotates around different cities in the world, and San Antonio just hosted it this spring and fall and summer. So I was asked as an artist to develop a design and then pre-draw it on the cow, and then the community helped me paint it. So I do a lot of interactive paintings as well.
So, and I've been asking all of the muralists, Jen, is this your first bus mural?
Oh, yes. I thought painting udders underneath the cow was hard. No, this is way harder. All of the divots and, oh my goodness, talk about not a flat surface.
Right, yes.
Yeah, it's challenging. Yeah.
Working on the other side of the bus near the entrance where everybody jumps on board is Lindsay. Lindsay, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
My name is Lindsay. I own my own painting business, mural company called Lindsay Allison C, which is my name. I'm from Ontario, Canada, in a small town called Norwood. So, yeah, I'm here, made a little bit of a solo road trip to come paint this retro bus.
Lindsay, I love that. Tell me about your journey as a muralist so far. How long have you been doing murals?
So I've been doing murals for about 3 years. I didn't go to art school. I actually have a degree in social work, and I ended up having 2 little boys with my husband and deciding what I wanted to do after that, and this kind of just fell in my lap. I've always loved art. I started doing window displays for places. So in Canada, Tim Hortons, our big coffee places. Yeah. So I do almost 17 Tim Hortons windows seasonally.
Wow.
And it kind of just kept rolling from there. And now I'm branched out, bigger network with friends. And yeah, it's been amazing.
I've asked the other muralists, I will ask you as well, Lindsay, is this your first bus mural?
Yes. And it's a little check mark in my list of things that I've wanted to do. So that's amazing. My first international mural and on a bus. So this is a big check mark.
So tell me about, since you arrived here, what has the experience been like for you?
Oh, it's been so nice. I got here on Thursday and downtown was doing the soup crawl and the yard sale and walked around downtown. It's been so nice. It feels very homey. It's been a pleasant visit.
I love that. And talk to me a little bit, Lindsay, about this community that you've built with other other women muralists. This is really lovely. And that Ashley said, hey, everybody kind of wanted to get together, and then there just happened to be this music fest. And how does it feel to be surrounded by other people who get it, right?
It's incredible. I met a lot of these women at a conference in Texas called Rooted.
Yeah.
And the community was like instant. You just bonded, and there was the group of women. There is community over competition, and that's kind of something that we strive for. It's like, come join me, come, let's lift each other up. And it's changed the whole game for me. Like, it's been a life-changing experience.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that. I feel like that vibe overall that you were talking about, community over competition, is the whole vibe of Maybell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that's the whole,
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, hearing these women, like,
Yes.
singing, the poetry, everything about it.
And celebrating each other.
Exactly.
And celebrating art. Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, Lindsay, thank you so much. Cannot wait to see what this looks like when it's finished. An 8-hour day of painting. That is a long time in the heat, but it's all good. I don't think I've seen as many smiles as I have out here this afternoon. So, yeah.
It's been a treat, a pleasure for me to be here and to be greeted by Muncie. It's been amazing.
It's Pop of Culture. I'm Michelle Kinsey.
And I'm Jen Blackmer. The Anderson Symphony Orchestra recently hired a new conductor and artistic director. You might remember we spoke to their previous music director. He retired after 35 years on the job. IPR's Thomas Olette brings us this interview with the new man in charge.
I've been a professional conductor for about a decade now. My first gig was up in Canada in Windsor, Ontario, which is Detroit adjacent. And so from there I've moved all over. I've performed all over. That's kind of the life of a conductor. Is you're on the road a whole lot, and one of my stops just happens to be Anderson now, and I couldn't be more excited about it.
So tell me a bit about how you got started, I guess, professionally being a conductor. I know you were a public school teacher before you started traveling.
Yeah, and so honestly, that's what I wanted to be before I became a conductor. I wanted to be a high school band director, or at least a public school music teacher. And so I taught junior high choir for 2 years. And it wasn't until I met one of my mentors, a guy by the name of Robert Franz, and he introduced me really to the world of orchestral music, or at least the idea that I could conduct orchestral music. And so from there, I went to school to get my master's at the University of North Texas in orchestral conducting. And so I spent 2 years there, started my doctorate there, and then won my first job in Canada. And conducting and being a musician is a lot like being an actor. I like to equate it that way, in that you're like busting tables until you get a call for the gig, and then you like drop everything and you go take the gig, because that's like your big break, right? And so that's what happened with me.
And so what was the draw for that? I know you said you're passionate about teaching, and then what was it about the prospect of professionally conducting that took you?
Yeah, so I always like to think that I have two parts as me. There's the educator, the nurturer, and teaching, of course, definitely satisfied that for me. And then there's the artist side of me. And so as I got into teaching, it was very fulfilling in terms of the nurturing side, but I was noticing that the artist in me needed more. And so that's really what drove me to become a professional conductor, is that the artist in me needed more. And unfortunately, it meant that while I was a teacher, I would push my kids, maybe have them sing or play rep that might have been just a little bit too hard for them, because I wanted to do it, right? And so that was kind of my indication that, okay, maybe you need to, it's time to move on and do something that's for your inner artist.
Tell me a bit about your experience conducting professionally so far. What was that first show like when you entered that world?
Yeah, it's all kind of a blur, actually. Um, for sure, I was nervous. For sure, I was excited, and maybe uh, I had a lot to learn, and still have a lot to learn. So it's one of those things, though, that as you do it more, the more comfortable you get with it. So my first couple of years, there was a lot of trial and error, and a lot of figuring it out. I would still say I'm figuring it out. I think that's going to be a lifelong process, but um, for sure, yeah. I mean, there's the term called cutting your teeth, right? Like it's getting in there and like actually doing it, and not in an academic sense, like you're in school and you're learning about it. It's like you're there, you're actually doing it, you're figuring out how the business works, you're figuring out how orchestras survive and function in 2025, which is very different than orchestras in the 1990s or 1980s. I mean, it's a different climate. The clientele is different. The goals of orchestras are changing. I mean, the medium by which we're still promoting and still making art is the same, but the why and the how has evolved to meet the needs of our community, for sure.
And so before we were talking about how you've been everywhere, almost, what takes you to Anderson, Indiana? Small town, but they have an orchestra. How do you get involved there?
Yeah, so part of it is that it's an artistic director position, and so that's sort of you're at the top of the organization. You get more latitude in terms of sort of creating the artistic trajectory, right? So, for example, with my roles in Cincinnati and Kansas City or Jacksonville or Windsor, even as a staff conductor, my job was really to be assigned concerts and conduct those assigned concerts. I wasn't really part of the larger planning, and so being an artistic director, you're part of that sort of bigger picture. That's thing number one. Thing number two is a shared sense of what an orchestra can do for its community. And so when I was there auditioning, when you audition to be a music director, it's not about if you can do the job or not. Typically, that's decided before you even get there. It's, are you the right fit for this community? Do you fit in our community? Do you fit with our values? Do you fit with our mission and vision and goals? And it's a two-way street, by the way. It's not just do you fit, but also does this orchestra fit with what I believe an orchestra should be doing? Do they value the same things that I value? Because you'd be surprised. Every orchestra is different. Every orchestra has their own sort of niche thing that they're trying to figure out, or their own way of trying to do things. And so when I was there auditioning, there was an immediate chemistry between me, the orchestra, the administration, the board, and the community. And so that sort of chemistry it's like it can't be bought, it can't be built. It was like that instantaneous spark, right? And so those are some of the things that really drew me to Anderson and that organization.
Do you remember what piece you did for your audition for Anderson?
Yeah, we did three pieces. So we did Carlos Simon's Fate Conquers Now, or Fate Now Conquers. I can't remember off the top of my head. We did Mozart's Piano Concerto number 20 in with my good friend. His name is Eldred Marshall on piano. And then we did Tchaikovsky's Symphony number 4.
And so, as you said before, what typically when you're not like the creative director, you're assigned music to conduct for. In your current position, do you get to pick the music that is used during these concerts?
Yes, absolutely. And so that's part of it. And not only do I select the music, but also that selection is part of a larger conversation of, it's not just for this concert, but it's how does this concert relate to the other concerts? What types of experiences are we providing? I mean, we often talk about experiential marketing, right? So instead of saying, oh, well, we're going to just market this piece. Well, maybe some people don't know this piece, right? So you market the experience around it. And then you start talking about, okay, how can you provide a variety of different experiences so that you engage with every segment of your population? Because there are segments of the population in Anderson, for example, that maybe feel that Tchaikovsky Symphony they're not smart enough for, or that maybe going into the Paramount, it's not for them, like they don't belong there. And now, while we don't believe that's true, we think that music is for everyone and that building is for everyone. we also understand that that's a reality, that some people have that perception. And so the way that we work to break down those barriers is to provide an experience that's maybe not so formal, right? An experience that is sort of outside the box, right? So I'll give you an example. In February, we're doing a concert called Beethoven on the Rocks. Okay, it's a Beethoven symphony, maybe a barrier for some people, right? But what we're doing is that we're pairing it with different tastings of bourbon, and it's curated. It's a different experience. It's not a go sit in the concert hall and it's quiet and the lights are dim and you observe the art, which the art is still there and the art and the music is still important, but the way in which we're presenting the music has changed. And so part of my job as the artistic director is to help create that variety of experiences so that we can engage with people who might not otherwise come to the symphony.
And so I think you touched on this with this whole answer. Sometimes things like orchestra can be a bit intimidating to people. And what do you think people kind of get wrong about the experience of going to the orchestra?
Well, it's all of the presumptions that come with any sort of art form or anything that is deemed of high class or of high intellect, is that I'm not smart enough, I'm not cultured enough, I'm not wealthy enough, I don't have the right background, I don't have the right socio demographic, like you name it. Like there's a whole host of things. And it's an interesting concept because orchestras everywhere are doing their best to sort of beat the drum and say, hey, you know what, this isn't true, and we'd love to show you. But until you actually meet people where they are, until you provide with them an experience and that they see themselves not only in the building but on the stage as well, uh, you can't really begin to break down those stereotypes. And so it's a lot of work and it's constant work. It's a never ending battle to say, hey, you know what? No, actually, this music is for you, and it can change your life. That's really what I think orchestras are really all about, is using music to bring people together and to change their lives.
And so you had your first show how long ago with the Anderson or Symphony?
I was this past Saturday.
How was that? How was it being? I mean, because this is your first time as creative director for a.
Sure. Yes, as artistic director, yeah. So there was a lot of electricity, and there's always a lot of excitement around an opening night of a music director's tenure, right? Uh, and that's because I'm new for the orchestra, new for the audience. The programming is new. I mean, it's a whole turning of a page, right? And so people were very excited. People were very engaged, but not only just for that one concert, they were excited about what the future held. And so that was really important about this weekend, is that we learned, not only myself, but also the administration at the symphony, that our patrons and our supporters are not only excited about the concert that happened, but they're really excited about their trajectory that not only the organization is on, but also that the type of programming that we're providing them is something that's interesting.
And I know the previous conductor, the previous like longtime conductor, he had been with Symphony Orchestra for decades.
Yes, Rick had been there for quite a while, and was an institution and responsible for really shepherding the orchestra through quite a bit. And so, um, I'm a big believer that I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in. The orchestra wouldn't be in such a position that it is without his hard work and his dedication to that community. And I don't think that should be overlooked. In fact, part of my job is to pick up where he left off and continue the work that he was doing. Now, obviously, I have my own style and my own thoughts and and that's fine. But the identity of the Anderson Symphony is much larger than a single conductor, and so I get to join him and in this sort of longer, multi-decades approach to how can this orchestra serve this community.
And so I know this might be an impossible question to answer, but what is your favorite part about conducting when you're on stage during a performance? What is the part of it that just ignites you the most?
It's the part that we didn't plan for. It's the part that the thing I love about live music and I love about performing music is that there can be moments that are different than rehearsal, whether intentionally or not. Sometimes when they're not, they're a little scary, but especially if they're intentional and where everybody maybe comes with you and takes a risk and you go just a little bit farther one way or you add just a little bit more energy. And it's that connection between you and all of those people in that room that you're all right there, all in sync, all together. You're all moving and breathing together. That's the most exciting thing for me as a conductor.
Is there anything you'd like to say that I haven't asked you so far?
I'm so excited. I'm so honored to be the new music director of the Anderson Symphony, and we're looking forward to connecting with our community through a variety of experiences. And I think we've got a great season plan, and we've started it, and we're off to the races.
That's IPR's Thomas Ouellette speaking with Anderson Symphony Orchestra's new artistic director and conductor, Daniel Wiley. You're listening to Pop of Culture. I'm Jen Blackmer, and I am super excited today to have a conversation with Debra Lynn. And Debra is the co-founder and executive director and artistic director of Opera Today, which is a new organization based in Fort Wayne. Welcome to Pop of Culture, Debra.
Great. Thanks for having me here.
Awesome. Debra, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Sure. I come from Kansas City, Missouri. I have just always been a music person. There really weren't too many other options for me. That's where my talent is.
Sure.
And I pretty much kept moving east with every degree. So I landed in Indiana after finishing my doctorate at Ball State. So I'm familiar with your location.
Sure.
I was always a vocal performance major. I did some music ed and some conducting work. That I come from about over 30 years of academic professoring. And so teaching is kind of a big part of my soul. I'm a perpetual educator, and much to the chagrin of my children. But I'm and I just have this love of opera also. And so I've sort of combined that my whole life. I'm an opera evangelist. I love trying to bring this art form to people who might be worried about the stereotypes and thinking that that's not something that they would like.
So you said that you're an opera evangelist, right?
Yeah.
And that is, from what I understand from our previous conversations, that's the mission of Opera Today, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Amazing. So why does opera need an evangelist?
Part of it is I think that opera is one of the greatest storytelling devices that we have. It's always been historically a place for social commentary. I mean, Mozart was shaking things up by making the kings and the queens and the emperors in his operas the antagonists.
Sure,
And
yeah.
the servants were the protagonists, right? They were the smart people. And so he was kind of flipping the royalty on its head, even back in the 1700s. So, and Verdi, I mean, it has a long history of not just being entertainment, but having something really important to say culturally about what's going on at the time that the opera is being created. And I think that's still true. A lot of people think that opera is all old stuff. It's really antiquated, but it's not true. There are operas being written right now. Dead Man Walking is now an opera. The Shining is an opera.
Right.
So there are just a lot of new stories being told, and really important stories, things that are helping build awareness about PTSD, and just bullying and like the political a story that we did last September.
Right. That's called A House Divided.
Yes, to bring awareness to, let's get people to vote. And so that's what opera can do. And I think it's that kind of an art form, but people don't recognize it as such. That's why our tagline is "Leave your pearls at home."
That's great.
You can just show up in your ripped jeans or your t-shirts or whatever, wear something, but come to the opera and give it a try.
Yeah, and opera as an art form, of course, contains some of the most beautiful music we've confronted as human beings, right? So it's this sense of the emotional music allowing for that sort of deep and profound storytelling.
Yes. I have a composer friend. He has said many times, and I just think it's exactly true, that a story has got to be really, really compelling and really, really great if your only option is to sing it.
Yeah.
And I think, wow, that sort of encapsulates what is really special about opera stories, is that if the only way to tell it is by putting all of your energy into the voice and singing, then it's got to be a great story.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, you mentioned that that this organization is new, right? You've been in existence for a year, and you had a production of a new opera called House Divided in 2024, and you're getting ready now to launch your first full season of opera. Now, you're staging these productions in various locations throughout Fort Wayne, and what is the reasoning behind that?
I think it's because there are just different locations that feel good for certain productions. And I'm a real out of the box thinker. I have ideas about putting operas in spaces that are a little bit surprising or unusual, like a roller rink or the public library where we did a House Divided. I'd love to do something at the Botanical Gardens or at the zoo. So this year we're in pretty typical theater spaces plus this church, but next year I see us doing some spreading our wings a little bit and getting into some spaces that, again, just to make it more friendly.
Yeah.
For the audience. Yeah.
Well, and to bring it to the community, rather than saying you have to come to this special place, it's really exciting, I think, for these performances and productions to pop up in these unusual locations, right? Yeah. And it's very exciting for us to speak to somebody representing an organization that is new, right? That's just getting off the ground, and it sounds like there's a ton of exciting stuff to look forward to. What's been your biggest struggle in bringing together a new arts organization?
I have to say right now, funding is really hard because of a lot of the cuts to the National Endowment for the Arts. So since a lot of government funding has disappeared for organizations, we're all scrambling for grants. There's a lot more people trying to do that. And so that's been tricky, but that's, I think, just a struggle for all arts organizations right now. And Fort Wayne just has so much art already. It's a really thriving artistic community for the size of city that it is. The only thing that's missing is opera. So the good news is there are a lot of people who are excited that opera is coming because that's the one hole artistically. But the other struggle is getting people to understand that they might actually like opera. Sometimes I'm doing an event where we're out, like at an open streets event where we've got our little booth set up and people come by and we'll say, "Do you like opera?" And they'll say no. And then we'll say, "Have you seen an opera?" "No." Well, do you like music?" Yes. Well, let me talk to you about. So that's always my opener is, well, you don't know if you like it until you try it. So we we're battling that by giving away some free tickets, trying to get people in the door so that they can see, oh wow, this is really special and cool and different. So,
Yeah.
we're kind of fighting both of those fronts is the funding part, but also just getting people to realize that opera might be for them after all.
Yeah, and that is, of course, the mission of what you're doing, which is incredible, really, to introduce a community that may not have had the opportunity to experience this work before to something new and fresh and exciting. Debra Lynn is the co-founder, executive director, and artistic director of Opera Today, which is based in Fort Wayne. Debra, thank you so much for joining us on Pop of Culture.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
You're listening to Pop of Culture. I'm Jen Blackmer.
And I'm Michelle Kinsey. And we are at the Ball State game. We're at Schumann Stadium for a Ball State game. We were visiting some Pop of Culture fans and some Ball State public media fans. But we're also celebrating WAYWO's new segment host, and that is Maya Doss. Welcome, Maya.
Hi, guys.
Many of you may remember Maya from WAYWO, a feature like way back.
Season
WAYWO,
1,
way back.
episode 19.
Oh my gosh, Maya, I love that.
WAYWO way back. That's great.
Yes, so refresh everyone's memory about what you do as an artist in the community.
Well, right now I'm in my last semester as a painting major at Ball State, so that's very exciting. Soon certified painter. And I've been enjoying my time at IPR, getting to reach out to local artists and ask them what they're working on. So I loved on this segment, I got to talk about what I was doing, and I felt like it empowered me, and I'm looking forward to doing that for others.
That's fantastic. So Maya, tell us, who is your first WAYWO interview as an artist, and tell us a little bit about that person.
My first interview was with Alana Silverstein. She is a local painter as well, who I met at Abracadabra at the Muncie Liberation Studio. We went and got coffee together, and the rest was history. We both love to paint with bright neon colors and metallics. We both love kind of trippy art, and so she's been a great friend. If there was like a mini Muncie art movement, her and I would be in the same one, I think.
Yeah, we'll take a mini movement and make it bigger. How about that?
What's it like being on the other side of the microphone as the person who does the interview with the artist?
It's a completely different mindset. I feel now I'm kind of unlocking my throat a bit. I used to be more behind the scenes, let my art speak for me, but now I feel more empowered in my voice and getting to use it to spread good art vibes.
What is your favorite part of WAYWO as a segment? Why do you think it's important for lovers of arts and culture to understand more about the artist?
I think WAYWO is fun because it takes us out of the finished product and brings us more into the artist's studio mindset as they're being creative. And I like that it kind of lets us open it up. It's not just tell me about this piece, but it's maybe tell me about your process, what inspires you, what mediums you're working in. And there's more to talk about and dive into that sometimes artists don't get to.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. Let's take a listen.
This week on the show, we've got Alana Silverstein. Alana, we have to know, what are you working on?
Oh my goodness, Maya, I am working on everything.
Everything?
Yes. I would say at this point in my life, I continue to have projects and to-do lists, and I have to remind myself that I ask the universe for these things. But right now, especially, I am in the midst of planning my first solo art show. I've been working on some animations, getting my portfolio updated, and I just started my second semester going back to school.
Incredible. It sounds like you're a very busy woman. But as an artist myself, I brought you on the show because I feel your work is so eye-catching and emotionally vulnerable. So give us all the details about your creative process of one of your favorite works you're working on now. Really bring us into our senses. What is it like in Alana Silverstein's creative flow?
Ooh, all right. If we're doing all 5 senses, First of all, we're listening to disco. We're definitely dancing. We've got some incense going. I've just journaled. I've just sketched a little bit. I've had some really serious conversations with my cats. And then finally, after hours of procrastinating, I am standing in front of my big, gorgeous, beautiful painting that I'm working on right now called Home Within Myself. So Home Within Myself was inspired by some symbolism with spiders and like making your own home and being able to protect yourself. And I feel like going out into the world and like putting my art out there for the first time, so scary and like isolating and exposed. And so Home Within Myself is this depiction of essentially this just divine feminine figure. And she has a huge veil that is supposed to mimic spider webs. And also there was a meteor shower a few weeks ago. And so there's going to be little like shooting stars in it. And then within this veil, there's all these like different versions of me with different like symbols and like expressions and colors attached to these like parts of me that I've really had to like take underneath my own wing. And something that I felt was pretty bold for me was I included a baby in my work. And I feel like a lot of my work can be described as, punchy or provocative or bold. And so me like including a baby, this like just divine symbol of, innocence, in addition to like all of these other experiences that I've had, Home Within Myself, just no matter where I'm at in the world, really being able to like turn inward and understand and like trust that through all of these versions of me and all of these different colors I've experienced, like at the end of the day, it's all within my web, my heart, my like own veil of love and care and like intention in my life. Beautiful. And it's sparkly. It is my biggest one yet. I've never done anything quite like it. And so this one especially has required me to get into some new like headspaces and try some new routines just because, what I actually want to create is different. And so the way I step up to it has to be different too.
Totally. I think taking up a large scale work can be intimidating at first, but afterwards you feel like a certain sense of accomplishment, right?
Yes, absolutely. I'm like, maybe if I make them bigger, I'll finish them faster.
I'm obsessed with your animation style also, though, and how you use color in your paintings. Will you share with us how you take mediums like painting and animation and make them your own?
Yes. So animation was honestly something that I surprised myself by being able to teach myself in the past few years. And so I think because of that, I've really have like a unique perspective on the like different ways I can use tools like within the app. Right now I'm using Procreate Dreams. But when I taught myself to animate, it was originally just frame by frame. And then slowly I've built upon that. And so kind of being able to immerse myself in the process of creating like motion and like bringing things to life, like not even second by second, like there's like about 12 frames that go into a second and just like, oh my goodness, I could do anything with this time. And so I've been experimenting now that I know how to do a little more with just how do my like physical paint materials like glitter or like metallic shine or holographic anything, like how do they show up like with the movement that I already see exists in it.
Beautiful. I think the movement probably comes from you dancing while you're working too, right?
Yes.
I resonate with how you speak about self-empowerment in your work and healing through creation and art therapy specifically. Alongside and overlapping your art is your social work and victim advocacy. You said you're going back to school. How do you hope to use your life as an artist to aid you assist those facing their trauma and healing?
Wow, that is an awesome question. I have learned in the past few years of like diving into the creative process as like a means to understand myself, that art and the replication of it, whether it's by me or somebody else, inevitably like I'm centering love in my art. Like how can I transform these spaces in my life where I've like previously felt pain and hardship and like seen some pretty ugly, nasty things. And like, how can I like look at this canvas and turn my pain into something that not only like pleases me to like look at and be a part of, but also like somebody else can, like I say, like step up to it and have their own unique individual experience. And I think honoring that sort of authenticity and vulnerability in any healing journey is super important because it's going to be different for everybody. And so going back to school for social work and victim advocacy, specifically for women and children who've experienced abuse, like it is me wanting to share that, hey, this perspective of healing and transformation and like being able to stand in your pain and like be okay with it is possible. And like I did that through art. And so like whether that's art or music or, you know, actual therapy or going to school, like whatever that looks like for people, it's super important to honor like how other people show up in their process, specifically seeking like that sort of transformative energy. So my hope is that I'll be able to incorporate some sort of art therapy, color therapy into what I'm eventually giving clients one day. And like, yeah, sometimes it's nice to be able to step into a different world. And I think when we're healing, like we are looking for that different world and then creating it.
Beautiful. I love it. I can feel the love radiating off of you. Well, I'm curious, where should our listeners go to connect with and learn more about you, Alana?
You can find me on Instagram at Pomegranate Sunset or Planet X Pomegranate. And in both of those profiles, there's links to my portfolio where you can see some of the animations and paintings and other sorts of projects, because I've done a little bit of everything, other sorts of projects I've worked on for the past few years.
Since you love to dabble and explore many different avenues of your work, looking into the future, what are some goals you have as an artist?
Well, on my Hinge profile, it says that one day I'd hope to have my own art gallery in Paris. So, you know, that's definitely out there for everyone.
We manifest our dreams.
We really do. And besides that, I definitely want to go into creative direction, especially while I'm going back to school, like continuing to have that avenue to like express my creative voice. And then kind of like I said, I've done a little bit of everything. So be able to like bring all these different skills and mediums and eventually like other artists together, like more community. That's my dream.
We look forward to seeing what you manifest into reality, Alana. Thank you so much for joining us today on the show and sharing with our listeners what you are working on.
Thank you for having me, Maya. It's been wonderful.
Are you ready, Michelle?
I'm ready.
All right, it's time for the arts calendar. Let's do it. The Boulevard. I love saying that.
Me too.
Boulevard. Boulevard Bash is Friday, October 10th along Minnetrista Boulevard in Muncie. The event is 5:30 to 8 p.m. Stroll down the historic street, stopping at the Ball family homes to collect treats, wander through the Oakhurst Gardens for extra trick-or-treat stations, pick out the perfect pumpkin, enjoy tasty food and beverages, and so much more. Family-friendly costumes are certainly encouraged.
Ooh, love that. The White River Orchestra, formerly known as East Central Indiana Chamber Orchestra, invites readers, listeners, and dreamers of all ages to its fall 2025 concert program, Once Upon a Sound, Saturday, October 11th at Northside Middle School in Muncie. The program will feature magical selections from the Harry Potter movie series, the classic baseball story Casey at the Bat, bedtime favorite Goodnight Moon, and tunes from Broadway's Wicked. The music will begin at 2:30 p.m.
The Da Vinci Code continues its run at Muncie Civic Theater this weekend. Can you solve the mystery? MuncieCivic.org is the place to go for clues and tickets.
The historic Beech Grove Cemetery Tour is Saturday, October 11th from 3:30 to 7 p.m. Learn about Muncie's rich and fascinating history by taking a guided tour through a portion of historic Beech Grove Cemetery. Reenactors positioned along the route will bring local historic figures to life. Tours are about 1 mile, generally leave on the half hour, and are limited to groups of 20.
I
So
enjoy
fun.
that so much. Mamma Mia, direct from Sweden, the music of ABBA will take the stage at Anderson's Paramount Theater Saturday, October 11th at 7 p.m. Experience timeless hits from the Swedish supergroup ABBA, Dancing Queen, Waterloo, The Winner Takes It All, Money, 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 dazzling costumes included. Of course, AndersonParamount.org has all the info.
The Heartland International Film Festival is on through October 19th in Indianapolis. This is the 34th festival, which features more than 100 independent films. Screenings will be at Alamo Drafthouse Cinema, Indie Art Center, Can Cinema, Living Room Theaters, Newfields, and, of course, online. Heartlandfilm.org is the place to go for more info.
I can't believe it's been 34 years.
34.
That is it's an international film festival that's recognized the world over. It's awesome. Yeah. The Gas City Performing Arts Center has 2 shows this weekend. On Friday, October 10th, you can catch Montgomery Gentry. And on Saturday, you can see former Voice contestant Karen Waldrop. TheGasCityPAC.com has all the details. If you have an event that pop listeners would love, please let us know at indianapublicradio.org/contact. Then click Pop of Culture.
Support for Pop of Culture comes from you. You've probably heard that Congress has defunded public media. For Ball State Public Media, that's 40% of our funding, about $1.4 million. So if you value this program, created by and focused on folks in your community, then now's the time to step up. This show will not exist without you. Become a monthly donor now at indianapublicradio.org.
And that's our show. Our Director of Audio Operations is Sean Ashcraft.
This week was produced by Luke Jones, who is a very model of a modern Major General.
Our audio fellow is Maya Doss.
Our thanks this week to Thomas Olette. Our show was hosted by me, Jen Blackmer.
And me, Michelle Kinsey. Pop of Culture is a production from IPR on the campus of Ball State University.
Did we record all of that? I was waiting for you to press the magic button.
Not all of that, but most of it.
Press the magic button. Okay, ready?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.